Greetings, programs. Welcome back to ArcNeo Reviews. Welcome to mostly the old setup. Still working out some kinks. Fair warning, I might have a little bit of camera vibration in this. I'll do my best to keep it to a minimum. But today, thanks to a friend of the channel and obviously friend of me, Zachamus, we will be doing a bit of a double review of Mocha and Nicey, or apparently just Nice. I'm not sure on exact way you're supposed to say her name. I've heard conflicting reports. Mocha is mine. Nicey, not RC, is Zach's. So I will be focusing mostly on my figure just for sake of minimal chance of damaging someone else's expensive and now not in production figure, but I will be doing as many comparisons between the two as I can think to do. So obviously we are starting here in the car modes. These are very, very closely related figures, as you can tell. Same company made them even. But as you can see, for Mocha here, they have gone for the the full race car look, and I do really like that. I know that a third party has actually gone into production with some other versions of Nicey. One that's just straight up, she just is RC. She's got the RC head that this figure wasn't allowed to have. They're also doing a Catwoman version and some third version, I can't remember. I think it's Chromia, actually. But so there's a lot of versions of this mold going around, but these are the two quote-unquote official versions. Very, very similar, but mostly just some changes to the shell between the two. Undersides will give away that, yeah, they are very, very much the same figure, the same transformations, the same usual guff of an RC figure where there's just a woman's torso hanging out at the bottom of the vehicle. Worth mentioning, because of the change in head sculpt for Mocha, on Nicey RC here, you can turn the head around to get away from the, visible head syndrome, everything else isn't completely visible, and it's the bottom of the figure, who cares? But on Mocha here, you do have to keep her head looking out. As well as, I'm sure some have noticed that I don't have the little fins off the side of the spoiler, which also double as her bunny ears in robot mode. I have a QC problem that it really only affects this mode. And if you want, you can just straight up take the spoiler off entirely. Even though you are left with that one little hole there, it still looks like a perfectly cohesive car mode. So that is a display option you have if you want. Obviously here on Nicey, you can remove the fin, or even put the fin in backwards if you want for some reason. Both of these figures have a lot of, do what you want with it elements to them, which I do appreciate. As you can see, they do have different back ends to the car modes. I appreciate that even the lights are, straight up a clear plastic. It's a little hard for me to get my light to hit, so you can see that, yeah, there are little amber lights here on the rear bumper of Mocha. But overall, both figures look really, really great in car mode. The only extra thing to go over with Mocha really is the fact that, while it's a little tricky to do while you're already completely in car mode, you can actually open up the canopy here, revealing that, yes, even the bucket seats and everything inside are still exactly the same. The main differences are just the overall design of the car modes and accessories. So we'll get to accessories after we get done with transformation. So go ahead, get Mocha transformed. And I know I had just got done saying in like my last 2 videos I was done doing, detailed step-by-step transformations. For Mocha here, I'll basically go through it because her transformation is incredibly simple, actually. A bit of parts forming, for sure, but the way that this figure handles the parts forming, I deeply love, so it doesn't bother me. Gonna go ahead and start by just unpegging her legs. There's a little peg right down here behind the arm. It's a little hard to see here, but go ahead, just unpeg the legs and get them moved out a little bit so that these little panels right here that go actually kind of in the thigh right there are freed up. That'll let you bring these out. And then you just take off this entire section. I'll mention right now, this section, if you want, is meant to be used as a shield. I'll go ahead and put this back on. In fact, yeah, this part is the shield. You have 2 pins right here that you can use to peg it on. There's so many accessories. I'm not going to have time to go over every possible configuration or anything, but just know that's one of the things you can do to make up for the parts forming. With this part, as I understand, there's a way to take other parts from her, attach them to this, and make an arm cannon sort of thing. The directions on this figure are not great, so there's some things I just straight up don't know how to do. This is one of them, unfortunately, but yeah, this is another part that comes off. You don't have to take it off. Keep in mind when you're attaching it here, you've got these little tiny nubs, tabs that stick out, as well as a slight tab right there at the back end. You do have to actually get those lined up with, again, tiny and hard to see slots inside here. You can see that one at least. So you've got those on the side, and there's one in the back. Also worth mentioning, while I'm sure she's showing up as just being black on my camera because my camera doesn't like to show colors correctly, still, it's really hard to get it to fixed in post as well. She is actually an incredibly dark purple color that looks really slick, I think. So, just worth knowing if you get this figure in person. Yeah, she's not black. She's actually dark purple. This back tab can be a little tricky to get plugged in as well, by the way. But once the back tab is plugged in, the side tabs basically just fall into place. So, much to do about taking part of the figure off. And it's going to be the same thing coming up in a second. Go ahead and push down slightly on the outside sections of the car, or of the front, and then go ahead and unpeg them. You've got little pegs right here that are pegging into the side there, as well as these little tabs sticking out here that are slotting in right there. And you can leave this attached, but for now, I'm actually going to just completely remove this. See, there's a hole here, and there is a peg right here behind her head. So, go ahead and just quickly bring down her legs, straighten her ankles out. And I like to bring up these little panels right here on the front of her foot. It helps cover up that joint right there. Worth mentioning, a lot of the joints on her are actually die-cast metal, so she is very, very solid. And I'm going to rotate up a little bit here because she's pretty tall. So go ahead, do that. Then just unpeg the arms. You've got little pegs sticking out here, and these holes are on both sides of the arm. So just unpeg those. You have like 3 joints here in the shoulder that you're just going to work up. and bring the little shoulder pads in. Then you've got a whole assembly here on the back that you will, again, just kind of fuss with, get it how you want it. I'm going to be going for the Madam Butterfly look, as I refer to it, where, go ahead and fold the seats up too, like I just did there. You actually leave this panel sticking out. When you get her out of the box, and obviously one of the other display options you have is you just bring this panel all the way down before you fold up this rear section. You can actually like pin this underneath these. I like doing it the other way around because I play Bayonetta and I have a thing for butterfly designs. So go ahead and just bring down this stock here and then drop the shoulders into place into the torso. We will fuss with her just a little bit to get her standing for the moment. Go ahead and rotate her arms in and turn her wrists and wipe the wipe the stuff that always manages to get on the chests of our female figures. I will. That's the problem with them doing figures like this. Literally, you just have a dust collections shelf, and then you have to deal with that. So, I'll go ahead and get Nicey transformed off camera, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, and here we have our two girls transformed. Obviously, you can see a lot of differences in the painting, different head designs, though very similar. I did opt for just taking this panel off of Nicey as well. Something I forgot to do on Mocha's. So really quick, you can fold in these wheels to flatten this all out. And there is also a little fold down panel here as well. We'll get into all the options here. I'm actually going to start by covering the accessories that Nicey, RC, again, nice. I don't know exactly what to call her. Pinky, all the things that she comes with. I don't even have her instructions, by the way, so some things it will just be a matter of I will show them to you, and then we will move on. There is a way to turn this piece. Or here, let me just go ahead and go to the high-tech Ziploc baggie that all of her accessories came in for borrowing. There is a way you use this piece and this to put her in, put this piece into like a bow and arrow mode. I think you slot this down in here or something. I don't know. Again, I don't have her instructions. There's a million videos on Nicey. She was a big thing when she came out. So there's a bow and arrow mode. That's what this is for. This is, the arrow to go in the bow. That's a thing you can do. With Nicey, personally, what I think looks the best is actually you pop off. Obviously very careful when it's a borrowed figure. But you pop off these two ball joints here. Then go ahead and plug these in as like sort of extended side skirts. This look to me is just, it's very Gundam. Yeah, obviously it gets in the way of her arms a little, but I think it looks actually a lot better. You can just go ahead and put this piece away. The rear of her car comes off, and you have a peg there that you can just plug onto her arm as a shield. She also comes with this blaster, which you can store by pushing it up between these two pegs underneath the shield. And yeah, you can leave it in there. Otherwise, she's got two little, let me see if I can find the other one, trigger finger hands. These are what you would use to hold the blaster. I should probably actually show that the blaster comes apart to be held. Then you slide it down into the hand. which is a little tricky to do, but the hands for both of these figures are made of a slightly softer plastic than the rest, so you've got some give to go ahead and do things like that. Just a ball joint at the back, very easy to switch out. I'm not going to bother showing everything because, again, there's a lot of stuff to go over here. She does come with an alternate head sculpt with a, like the traditional anime open mouth sticking her tongue out. Some people take this really weird, some people don't. I don't know. I'm not going to bother trying to sexualize a toy because it's a toy, even though clearly that's what they were going for, especially those who have seen the box. But it is actually just kind of a cute little head sculpt either way. Switches out very easily. You've got this, not really sure how to explain it, kind of D-shaped peg there. You just pull the old head off and pop the new one down on the neck. We will get to posability and stuff eventually. Again, I'm going to do that over on Mocha. You have alternate chest pieces for both characters. It was really egregious with this one because, yeah, you just have normal plastic or rubber. It's the same thing on Mocha, but there's at least a color difference to justify it a little more there. She comes with fists for both hands. Comes with sort of a relaxed hand for just the left. I find this one's really good to pair up with the shield. And then finally she comes with either a thumbs up hand, or obviously this is the hand really meant to hold the sword. Sword is really nicely sculpted and molded. It is a little bit flexible to keep it from breaking, which I appreciate. Overall, there's a lot of really good, like choice of plastics and stuff used on this figure to keep it, stable, because there are definitely some very, very small parts. Here you can get a better shot of the little peg that sticks up behind her head to hold the front of the car mode. But we're going to get her out of the way and go over Mocha for posability. Right off the bat, you have the head posability. You've got a ball joint at the base of the neck that handles all that sort of stuff, as well as the head itself has the up and down. It's a little limited. If you want less limited, go ahead and pull her head off and get the little bow tie piece off from around her neck. That'll get you just a little bit more clearance for a little bit more range of movement there. Shoulders, you can shift them up and down on this kind of first joint. The shoulder pads themselves have a lot of range of movement. So, depending on how you fuss with things, you can get her arm not quite completely out, but most of the way out. Full rotation. Little bit, there is a ball joint in there even, so you get a little bit of not really a butterfly joint, but you can butterfly the shoulder piece if you want. Bicep swivel right there. The elbow is just one joint, but it does go past 90 degrees. I realize you're looking more at my hand there than the actual joint. And ball joints for the hands. We've got ball joint right there, kind of in the middle of the torso, right underneath the chest for a lot of posability there. Couple joints here in the hips to shift the legs around, up and down, bring them out, get a little more range of posability there if you need. She kicks forward, she kicks back. Her legs have to come out a little bit to do that because of how everything's sculpted. She's got a double jointed knee that does actually have little moving, clearly they don't do anything, but little moving pistons also made out of die cast. When you do that, it's a really neat touch in my opinion. Her feet can go forward and back. She's got an ankle tilt, goes both ways. You can adjust how open the heels are to help with different poses. Clearly, she's kind of falling apart there. The upper torso does just kind of sit in, doesn't really latch in, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it works well enough. And on this figure, it's got a second use we'll get to in a second. But, overall, the posability on her is really, really good. In terms of Mocha's accessories, she comes with a great big umbrella spear instead of a sword. This lower section is both removable and is die-cast metal. Feels really, really nice. And you see it's got a little slot right there to make sure it only goes in one way. And it's a little bit smaller right here for going in her hands. She comes with 2 little short swords. Have a bit of the bow motif that obviously we've already been encountering on her, and we will be encountering a lot more on her. She comes with these, which are just in a baggie and not really labeled. But what you do is, and this part's a little bit permanent, you've got these little round pieces you slide on the ends of this shaft. Then you go ahead and put these on the end. And then you clip the swords into these. And you get this big, extended double-bladed sword for her. Or obviously you just keep these off. And this is where you get my preferred thing, where you still have this little peg on the side that will peg into her arms right here. And just gives her arm blades. I really like the way that looks, actually. Really quick, actually, while I'm thinking about it, that little hip skirt thing that Mocha does, or Nicey does, you can't actually do that with her because of this extra section here in the front, these little pink parts that stick out. So, sadly, you can't do that, but you can still do some other stuff with these pieces. My preferred thing is kind of just fold it all up like this. Then let's go ahead, get a little bit better access to that peg, and put it on her back like that. Bring it most of the way down. And you kind of end up with this, again, it's a big backpack, but it's got kind of a butterfly look to it. The headlights on the car parts almost turn into like eye spots. I really, really like the way that looks, actually. I think it's really cool. Let's see. Obviously, you get her alternate chest piece. And like I said, on this one, they do give you different color options as well. I went with this one because I like the pop of white and a little bit of silver. Don't care for the black as much there. Get, of course, a set of bunny ears. And this is where my QC issue actually comes into play. The end piece of the ears, as you can see, is the same piece. This piece should have been flipped horizontally. So that only affects the really the spoiler mode. You can make this work sort of for obviously putting it on our head. And just for saying we did, we'll bring in her alternate head here. Both heads do have these same slots here on the back. You can go ahead and plug these into. Make sure I get that one in all the way. They do hold very, very well after they're plugged in. And you've got, some posability on them. Get them set up how you want. Worth noting, this head comes with its own neck. And I just dropped a bow tie off of this one because they each come with their own bow tie. Bow ties are the same. But the little neck piece on this head is actually a little bit longer to compensate for the longer hair on this head sculpt. So If you want this head with feel like the neck is a little too short, you can obviously just use this neck piece. Same exact piece. I'm going to find the bow before I forget really quick. You also will find this shield in her box and this piece. Very, very simple. You've got a larger peg back here, a little tiny one there. You can see the holes there. Just pop these together. And then she's got her shield, which you will peg into her forearm up here. Just kind of set the little handle in her hand. She won't actually hold it. She doesn't need to. And then you take this piece and put it on over right there so that it completes the look. There are also these little slots up here, which are for holding her swords. So this piece ends up pulling like triple duty, really. You do want to make sure you get the blades like hooked in right there, and obviously you can leave these pieces on or pop them back off if you want. Also, if you want, you can just take this little black piece off here, and then you can use either of these pegs. Getting this piece off can be a little tricky. It likes to peg in quite securely. But you can use that to peg this on, on her leg, on her arm. You probably even get it on her back if you want to. Again, you get just a lot of parts, and you can kind of do what you want with them. That's why it's hard to go over everything with this figure, because it is just such a pile of options. She comes with the same relaxed hand, a fist. She comes with trigger fingers, which actually doesn't make much sense with this figure, because she doesn't come with the little blaster. She also comes with this little piece for doing the bow weapon, which doesn't work as well with her, and she doesn't have the arrow. But I guess there's also like a way to turn her front end into an arm cannon thing. See, there's the other trigger finger. Trying to find her little black hands on a completely black desk in the dark, because there's only light right here. The joys of recording. Yeah, this is obviously your sword holding hand, so just go ahead and pop this in there. For as large as this is, they did a really good job of getting the weight on it really even by using the metal here and then this part being plastic. So it's really, really easy to pose her holding this. In fact, I will actually go through the, hassle. It's not hassle. It's just a lot to go over of giving her this. So you can see, yeah, she holds it just fine. No issues. Clearly, you'll have to shift her weight around a little bit to keep her stance stable. She also comes with this little tiny visor to put on her head, put over her eyes. It's a little tricky to get it on there. I'm not going to try to do it because, as I've explained a million times, but I will continue explaining for the new people, I have to reach way out to do these videos because there's a camera and a tripod between me and the table and everything. I will I will fat finger it and screw something up anyway, so I'm not going to do it, but it's a thing you've got, you can do it. And then finally, frankly, she comes with the silliest accessory. She comes with a little ribbon and bunny tail. They call it a bunny tail. Like, it's literally just a round ball. And you can see here, there's a little bit of scraping on the paint from using these pieces. Basically, every piece on this figure is painted, so you will want to be, mindful of that while you're messing with her. I don't know if that's the case with Nicey, which is why I'm, kid gloving her. This one is incredibly painted, and if I scuff the paint, it's my own figure. I don't care. But you've got this bow that you can put on her waist, which obviously you've got all this stuff back here, which is going to fight with it and get in the way. And that's where Let me really quickly check. Yes, I did actually get through all of her accessories. But that's where you get to the big change with Nicey and Mocha. Mocha here has a completely removable backpack. So to do that, easiest way is just to open her torso up like this. Then making sure you pull straight back. This little section here, this is actually just a C-clip coming out and grabbing over the metal pin. So go ahead and this one holds really tight. It's hard to do, and I want to be very careful while doing it. Yeah, it looks awful when it finally goes, but yes, things are unharmed. This is a really strong, a little bit flexible plastic they've used. I will widen that little hole out a little bit more, but you see that just popped off. Got the metal pin sticking out there. I know it's black, but it is actually metal pin. And then come up here and make sure, yeah, this pin is the same deal. So go ahead and, here, let's take that off for a second so we can pop that one off. And then, like, there's a mode for folding this up into something too. Again, there's like a picture of it in the directions, and you have to kind of figure it out. That part they definitely could have handled better, but the fact that you can do this at all is still pretty neat. Then go ahead, just take this little piece, fold it down, and I forgot to mention, while you have this piece on her back, you've got a peg hole right up here to use in a figure stand. Obviously, we just took that off, but now you have this new peg hole for a figure stand. And you notice that, yeah, her upper arms and everything, her arm section is completely separate from the rest of her body. But once you slot this back down in, it holds incredibly well, in my opinion. Like, at least on mine, you pick her up and you shake her around like this. That's the wheels in the back of her thighs rattling that you hear. This is incredibly strong. I actually really appreciate it. And then you can go ahead, put this back on her back if you want, go ahead and give her, like, give her wings with that, or just keep this one piece up. Again, a lot of options. I'm sure you could pull a little bit more of a G1 style RC out. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And now, getting this on is probably the single biggest gripe I have. You can see right here, I have actually scuffed her paint slightly. That is from getting this on and taking it back off for sake of video. You can see it just kind of wraps around and clips onto the spot here on her hips. You have to make sure you pull her actual hip joints down a little bit to get the clearance, but you can go ahead and give her that if you want to. I won't lie, I do appreciate the fact that you can turn her into effectively like a car model pinup, which is really fitting for this figure with a really, frankly, awesome, like, supercar race car mode. There's, like with most things, there's two ways to take this. I know most people look at this figure and they try to take it the obvious lowbrow, yay boobs way. But if you can get past that and just look at this for, oh yeah, they made a robot girl that looks like, a real girl. This is a very, very well engineered figure, actually. Like, there are a lot of reasons to like this figure beyond the fact that, they made a pretty looking robot girl. And clearly, yeah, that's the reason I got this thing. This is a truly, really fun, really made figure. Obviously, I really like Nicey as well. completely missed out on that figure. She's aftermarket only now. I'm not down with aftermarket prices. But yeah, for you get a lot of options, a lot of accessories. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of parts forming. The only mandatory parts forming is this piece right here. And like I said, you can take these and do that. And it's a shield now. There you go. It's not parts forming, it's weapon forming. So, and if that part bugs you, get the Nicey, or get one of the unofficial, other companies making versions of Nicey as other characters. So all you have is this little piece. If you're careful, you can keep this piece pegged on and just have a flap down hanging off her butt, if that's somehow better for you. But either way, yeah, this is a really fun, really cool mold in my opinion, and it deserves to be appreciated as just a good figure. There's no point in getting weird over it. I'm sorry, have you seen the fact that in Marvel Legends you can just go get a figure of Tigra? This is nothing compared to Tigra. This is a fully clothed robot lady, okay? So, we're going to be adults here. We're going to look at this objectively, and at the end of the day, yeah, this is a really, really awesome figure in my opinion. It's obviously, it's not cheap. This is definitely a adults market figurine simply due to cost. And I cannot recommend her enough. If you are down for that sort of thing, she poses well. She looks really good. You've got options for figure stands. It's just a standard size port, so basically any figure stand will work. You get a lot of stuff with her. And yes, even the one, quality control problem I have, it's crazy minor. It's like, if I cared, I could have gone through, returning her and getting a new piece. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes with most things if you're missing a piece, because I don't know of any way to contact the big Firebird Toys or whatever, the actual company. So I'd have to go through, just doing a return. It's not worth it, in my opinion. I'm not going to go through that hassle for one little tiny piece. I still love what I've got here. This is a really, really cool figure. It's good, okay? There's nothing else I can say. This is a good, really fun figure. And I give her the highest recommendations. Obviously, don't get this for a kid. A kid will still find a way to break it. But she's very well made, very sturdy. Just a win. So, there we go. Gush time over. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.